Okay, this is a bit of a more serious topic than usual, but I did kind of just, want to talk about it for a little bit without any script, just all natural, just kind of, chill with you all a little bit. Hi guys, welcome back to my Therian territory. You may call me Thorn, and in today's video I want to talk about mental health in general, but also relating it a little bit towards, Alterhumanity, Therianthropy, Alterhumanity, etc. And I also would like to talk about mental health regarding me. Don't worry about it, I'm doing just fine right now. However, I was inspired by another video being published at some point, where people were debating within some kind of podcast whether Therianthropy or furries or alterhumans in general would be good or bad for your mental health, and they kind of concluded that it's really bad for your mental health, and here's why. And I honestly didn't even watch the video, I was just mainly inspired by the title, because for me it's actually kind of the opposite. Therianthropy and Alterhumanity has actually been nothing but beneficial to my mental health, and I'm sure the same goes for a lot of other Therians and other kin and Alterhumans out there. And I've kind of been avoiding this topic simply because I don't want to promote Alterhumanity like it's something that people would want to have. I'm simply speaking from my own experience in this case, and I kind of feel like I should be allowed to address it because, it is something positive. And of course there's nuance to this. Therianthropy, Alterhumanity, Alterhumanity, all that kind of stuff, it has a ton of negative sides even, but I have actually already covered this in a video in the past, and if you guys want to check that out, you can surely do that. But sometimes it's also just really positive to reflect about how these types of identities are good for you, like how it's positive to you and how it makes you better in life and anything like that, because that is surely the case for me. Therianthropy has a great beneficial impact on my mental health, and I'm going to be explaining in this video why that is. So I don't want to give a whole life story about myself, but I did want to note for a moment that around the age of 9 I had developed some kind of depression as well as social anxiety. Back then I didn't realize I had it. For most of my teenage years actually I didn't know I had depression, I didn't know I had social anxiety. And this has always been really, really rough on me in the sense that, I've always had incredible identity crises, as well as, I've never been able to fit in very well. I've always been thinking that I might be on the neurodivergent spectrum. I came out as gay at some point. I came out as non-binary at some point, later in life, however. And I just remember being so disappointed in humanity and society. And that sounds really harsh and really cross and really misanthropic. But yeah, it's the truth. I remember thinking very clearly at a young age, is this it? Is this seriously it? Because if this is it, I don't know what I want to do here. I don't know why I'm here. That was the root mindset of my depression. I just didn't understand what the hell I was doing here. It was only around 2016, when I was 16 years old, that I started to realize, I am different from other humans. I feel rather wolf than human. And that's when I started adopting that wolf identity, even though I didn't know what Therianthropy was at the time. But I was sort of able to put my sorrow over humanity into that identity, thinking okay, you know what? I don't even associate myself with humanity anymore. Which, right now, of course, I do identify as human in some way, so that has kind of lifted a little bit ever since. However, it is also kind of stuck a little bit ever since, because I just don't completely associate myself with humans, ever. I just don't. Because I am more than just human. I'm also a wolf. I'm also a fish. So in 2016, I was at least able to kind of give those thoughts and give that depression a place. And around 2018, my depression sort of got a peak because I didn't go to school anymore. I graduated, but I didn't know what to do. I kind of knew what to do in the sense that I wanted to do something artistic at the time, but the safety net of going to school every day had kind of just disappeared, and therefore suddenly I had to think about my future, and everyone around me was suddenly going way faster than I was. They knew what they were gonna do. They had steady partners. They maybe even moved out from their parents, and that's something that I would have never imagined I'd be able to do at the time. So I was kind of like, well, what am I supposed to do now? And I felt like I was falling behind, so to speak. You know, when you're 18 years old, that's a very common fear to have, especially if you don't have anything steady at the moment. And I was always kind of dabbling certain schools, hoping that I would find something that would fit me, and it never stuck, which also really, really sucked. Things were bad, like really, really bad, and eventually I kind of told my mom and said that I needed therapy. I really just felt like I wasn't doing okay. And I got into therapy, I talked to a therapist, and immediately the first meeting, he diagnosed me with depression and social anxiety disorder. And that was already really beneficial to my mental health, because I suddenly thought to myself, wait a minute, it's not me. I'm not crazy. This is just something that's going on with me at the moment, and I'm able to, you know, kind of distance myself from all of those problems. So we worked through therapy, and eventually, you know, I quit doing therapy because I felt like it was enough for me to continue my journey and everything, but I was still kind of stuck in the same position as I was. And you know, the wolf identity was always in the back of my mind, but it never really had any benefit to my mental health at the time, because I just kind of felt like, you know, that's just another thing that makes me different from other people. So like, what am I to do now, you know? And that's when I realized that I should just start looking up online, whatever the heck it is that I am, and I found the Therian community. And suddenly there was like a click, thinking, oh, I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one who feels this way. I'm not the only one who doesn't fully associate themselves with humanity. I'm not the only one who has animalistic experiences in general. That just already felt so affirming to me that I wasn't the only one. I didn't feel as lonely anymore, and that was already really, really great for me. I remember telling my mom very clearly at the beginning of my teenage years, I must have been about 11 or 12 or something. I told her, I am absolutely 100% sure that there is nobody in this entire world who looks at the world the same way that I do. I actually rather meant it in a positive light, you know, with wonder and fascination, and I was always so fascinated about the world around me. But the fact that nobody else was just made me really lonely in that sense. So I went into the community, I connected with the people, or rather the creatures, you know, and I suddenly realized, no, that's not the case. I'm actually not the only one in the entire world who looks at the world the way I do. There were other people out there. There were people out there who were able to view this world with such wonder and such pure fascination, simply because they had animalistic experiences, and simply because they knew that there was something about them that made them special and unique, and they wanted to celebrate that by giving it a name and giving it an identity and finding a community for it. I suddenly felt whole again, in a way. I felt like I wasn't the only one anymore. And I can honestly tell you that ever since that period of time where I went to therapy and also awakened as a Therian, that I haven't been depressed anymore. Not only did I no longer feel lonely anymore, I also felt like there was room for me to explore myself. There was room for me to just simply experiment with how I want to be and who I want to be and how I want to present myself to other people. That was all in my hands, and that's something I never realized before, which, you know, to most people, that's like something that you realized around your teenage years. I was never able to. Because of the community, I certainly figured out I'm me, and I'm allowed to be me. I'm allowed to express myself. I'm allowed to experiment. I'm like a blank canvas, and I can paint it however the hell I want. And that's something that the Therian and the Alterhuman community really encourages. They encourage you to figure out yourself and experiment and just be your true and authentic self. At the beginning of my awakening, I actually wanted to go to a meetup, a real-life meetup with actual other Therians. I had hung out with this girl before that identified as a bird who was living very near to me, and together we went all the way to Belgium. I had never taken public transport and went all the way to Belgium with a person that I had only seen once before. Considering I have social anxiety disorder, that was such a huge step for me. And it's the Therian community that actually was able to give me that courage, to give me that step to say, you just gotta go. Even though I was so incredibly anxious, I enjoyed myself so much that day because these people really seemed to realize who I was. They really saw who I was. And they wouldn't care if I expressed myself a little differently than the average person. Not at all. They even encouraged it. So that was just so great for me. And that even allowed me to join more meetups in the future. And that way I really started to recover from my social anxiety disorder. And you know, I have to say that my social anxiety disorder is still there. You know, I'm no longer depressed, but I still have the anxiety disorder. And that's something I still sometimes struggle with. And this is something that, partially because of the Therian community, I was really able to find that confidence to really just shut out a lot of fears that I had at the time. So that's been really great for me. So not only has my Therian identity and the Alterhuman community been a huge beneficial factor to curing my depression, it's also helped me so much in trying to recover from my social anxiety disorder. And I'm not here to say that being a Therian or being Alterhuman is the cure to all of your problems. Not at all, because I still had to work on myself, like actively work on myself. But being able to discover who I truly was, that's been so beneficial to me. So if anybody ever has the audacity to tell me that being something like a furry or a Therian or otherkin or anything alike is bad for your mental health, I just disagree wholeheartedly, because I'm living proof that that's not the case. So yeah, that's really a topic that I just wanted to spark for a moment, because it's good to reflect on these types of things sometimes. So yeah. And you know, the community doesn't just bring positivity. I'll just be honest about that. It's also left a couple of stains on my mental health as well. I've met a couple of people that were just not okay, that have been really abusive towards me emotionally, and also I have had a lot of drama that I had to deal with that caused a lot of stress and stuff. So it's not always been sunshine and rainbows, not at all. But I just wanted to know that had I not been in the Therian community, I don't know where I would have been. I don't know, maybe I would have still been depressed. Maybe I would have still had a huge amount of social anxiety. Who knows? Maybe I would have still had an incredible amount of identity crises. You know, I would not be surprised if that was actually the case. I would not have been with my girlfriend. I may have been single. I may have never discovered that I am not a girl, that I'm non-binary. You know, so like there's a whole bunch of things that the Therian community and the Alterhuman community has led me towards to further discover who I really am, and that's just so incredibly positive for me. I'm actually really curious to know how the Alterhuman community has affected your personal mental health, whether that be in a positive or a negative light. You can just be honest about that. Comment it down below, because I would love to read it. Anyways, I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, please leave a like down below, or maybe comment down below, or if you have any critique, you can also comment down below, of course. And if you really like my videos and want to see more in the future, perhaps consider to subscribe. And I'll be seeing you guys in my Therian territory in the next video. Bye. A massive thanks to my Therian territory members Elkira Wintermist, Basha Hex, Kristen Rebase, Shadow the Wolf, Arden Zephyr, Jobo Gamer, Oz, Thomas, Voilo, and Waita. Join the Therian territory membership for early access, extra features and content, and more personal contact with me.